Well, I have to tell you, I said I'm going to end this show. I'm going to end Fantasy Camp on A's Cast Live. I don't want slow. I don't want old. I don't want someone who can't bring it. I want someone who brought it to the yard every single day. I want somebody who the fans love, Cody. Somebody who was a fan favorite.
But Dallaire delivered.
And Dallaire delivered Adam Rosales. Rosie, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
This is it for us. Well, I'm going to be here through Monday, through all the awards and the championship thing.
Nice.
And
Awesome.
I'm going to do the Raleigh Fingers interview. But this for us live on A's Cast Live. This is it. You're bringing us home.
All right. I'm happy to do that. I'm honored.
So how are you, first and foremost?
Fantastic. Never better.
And how's your team doing?
We were better yesterday. Our name is called Someday because last year, Cat and I, we didn't win one game.
You didn't win one game?
We didn't win one game, and Cat didn't win. I think 2 years ago, he didn't win one game. So we named our team Someday.
You'll win.
And we did. We won yesterday. And we didn't win today. So maybe we should change that name to yesterday. It's fun, though. It's so much fun out here.
To watch these people give it their all. I mean, it's a lot of fun. I mean, there's so much joy in these people's faces and their effort.
They love it. They love it. It's their fantasy of being a big leaguer. You know, they get the treatment inside the clubhouse. You know, we have a fun time doing the kangaroo court stuff, and they come out here on the field, and we try to treat them like Major League Baseball players. You know, but there's a lot of challenges though for these major leaguers. You know.
There'd be a lot of challenge. I mean, for us, I mean, you're even in really good shape. I mean, still, if you went out there, you'd be sore.
I feel like just playing catch, I'm sore.
Right? And these guys are out here playing double headers. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, that's a good challenge.
I mean, it's but I mean, this is something relatively you did. Was last year your first year?
Yeah, first year doing it.
So you've gotten to, and now you're starting to see what a lot like what Shooty Babbitt and everybody's seeing. Yeah. It's like a family atmosphere around here. Is. These people, a lot of people have been here for many straight years.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect coming in last year. You know, it's kind of like, all right, yeah, I'll do it. Sounds like a lot of fun. I've heard great things about it. I got through it. I saw everything happen, got that experience, and I just couldn't wait to get back for this year. So it's definitely something that I look forward to every year now.
You know, when I think about your connection with this organization, kind of wild, right? I mean, would you have ever thought, like, when you were first coming up and you're bouncing around, did you ever think, wow, I'm not just going to be, you know, working in the A's. I'm going to be a part of, like, the A's family.
You know what? I felt that right away when I was an A. You know, Billy Bean called me up that day. I still remember it when I got traded from the Reds.
Yes.
In 2010, he called me up, and just the way he made me feel, how welcome I felt, and I got to the A's, and it was like automatic, a special place in my heart for the A's. And it's been great ever since, the relationship that I've had being in Oakland A, you know.
I remember when the A's got you, and immediately in that spring training, game started. You start playing like every day.
Yeah.
Like you were going to get an opportunity. That spring was huge for you.
Yeah.
You were getting an opportunity that you'd never gotten before.
Yeah, one of the campers asked, what was the pivotal part in my career? What was my break? And I was like, I never really thought about that. That's a great question. And I think it was when Billy Bean called me, that shift from playing for the Cincinnati Reds to the Oakland A's. I feel like that was a big break in my career. It's kind of cool to have the conversation with one of the campers today at lunch.
Yeah, that is – because I remember it. I remember we were running the games, and it was like – I remember, you know – you were one of the main acquisitions in the offseason, and you're playing like every day during spring, and you're getting that opportunity. You know, obviously they saw something in you that I think now you're seeing as a coach.
Yeah.
Like management saw there was this baseball guy in you. You're now becoming that guy from a coach standpoint. Does that make sense?
You mean like I see other players like that, or what?
Yes,
they have,
like the way you were a grinder, the way you worked hard, you brought it every day, you were on time, and that means something, by the way, folks. Being on time, ready to go. You were that kind of player. You were a hustler. Billy needed more of that inside the organization, and like you're now as a coach, making that happen inside the organization.
Yeah,
It's very interesting.
Yeah, I try my best to bring that same energy. It's a lot different dynamic being a coach because you are responsible for so many different personalities, and you have to understand what works for them. You know, I knew what worked for me. You know, I always had my foot on the gas pedal though my whole career. I couldn't take it off. But here it's different. You know, as a coach, you got to understand what these kids need and understand like how to communicate with them so that you can put them in a good position to succeed. You know.
How tough as a manager was it for you when a guy didn't hustle like you did?
I couldn't stand it. It was really hard to see that. And there's times where I took kids out of games. I'm like, I expect more than I've told you. I've expect more out of you than that. So I had to take them out of the game, and they have to learn the hard way sometimes, But that didn't happen too often. A lot of times, these young kids that we have down here in the ACL, where I'll be coaching, they put their heart and soul into it. They do their best, and they do grind it out, just like I was as a player. But sometimes you see those guys that just can't do it.
Well, that's they've always talked about with coaching. It's like, great hitters will look at guys who struggle and go, well, why can't you hit? One of your biggest strengths was being a guy that brought it every day.
Yeah,
that's effort is something everybody can control.
That's right. Well, that's what I always preach to the players here. You got to bring that. You can, like you said, you can control that. You got a choice to make to bring that energy every day, and to see that, like as a manager, to see somebody run out on the field or run the bases correctly and bring that energy. It's infectious, and that's why I try to tell them how important that is for this game of baseball. And a lot of them buy into it, but then again, it's a lot of hard work and determination to keep that same mentality for even just 58 games or whatever we play, let alone 162,
And now you're going to be settling back into a hitting coach role.
That's what I understand. Hitting coach, base running, infielding, maybe a little bench coaching for Tim Esme. And I'm really, really excited about that, to really connect with the players. I feel like I bring a lot of value to understand what they're going through and to relate with them. I feel like they're going to appreciate me more like that, and the value that I can bring to them in a cage or on the infield dirt. Just that connection, that direct connection with the player, and put a lot of time into studying them and figuring out what they might need help with.
What's so interesting is that's also what Bobby Crosby's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So both you and Bobby Crosby got the managing experience, and then now he's going to be up with the big club, and it's going to be focusing on individuals.
Right.
It's like both of you got a great lesson. You got the lesson of what it's like to be the main guy, and you have to control everything.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can get back into honing your craft, working with individual players.
Right. And I think Bobby's going to be fantastic. I'm so happy for him to be at that major league level and be able to do that. And the players are going to love having him around, from how I know Bobby and just his reputation around the A's organization, his reputation around baseball. He's going to be great up in the major leagues. So, yeah, it's great to take that role on, like you said. I think you and I had a conversation before about how important it is to get that experience as a manager, and now how it's going to augment what we're doing as a hitting coach or bench coach, whatever we're going to be,
It changes you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because Mark Kotze will tell you that. I know Bob Melvin has told me that. It's like it changes you in life when you become the guy, and you got to look after because you have to look after all the coaches. You got to look all the players. It's a great experience, and it also is great for you to go back to being the coach. You're now a hitting coach working with all the hitters.
Right, exactly. And that's I'm really looking forward to that and understanding it. Obviously, just like as a baseball player, you're always learning as a baseball player. As a coach, it's a whole different dynamic, and I'm geeked every day to learn from the staff here. When all the staff is in here for spring training, I just soak it in. We have all the meetings before we talk about the players or the organization and what's expected, and it's amazing what I absorb in those rooms and learn. And I do my best to try to implement all those qualities out on the field for these players.
Now, when you're working with a lot of these young guys who are first coming into pro ball, there's a reason why they got to pro ball, but there's also things they need to change.
Right.
But there's a dynamic there. Like, you don't want to change a guy too much to where you completely alter him and he's done, right? He's in trouble, right? So it's like you need to fix some guys, but you don't need to tweak too much. Right. What is that like because you saw it as a manager and as coach, like when you got these young guys, very raw, really good athletes coming in, like there's an art to how much to tweak and how much not to. I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but you don't want to do too much.
Yeah, right. There's a happy medium, right? There's less is more sometimes, but that's why it's so important to get to know the player. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned in managing is the trust that the player needs to have in you before you can help a player. Like, he's got to trust you in order to actually absorb something that you're saying, right? You can't just like you said, you gotta show them how much you really care. It's their career ultimately, but they really need to feel that you care about them and that they can trust you.
That's not gaining trust is
It's not easy. It's not easy, but that's why you work together. That's why you collaborate in the meetings, with the coaches to make sure that we're all on the same page. It's all one voice trying to help one kid, and that's not easy to do, that collaboration. But I know we do. We do our best to talk about what these players need, and so that we all understand. But I think that's the key, though, to be on the same page and have that collaboration.
Well, for fans, it's so interesting is that they see the finished product, right? They see the big league product. You see the big leaguers. Well, they got to start from somewhere, and you're getting guys who don't speak the language. They're not from this country, or they're really young kids out of high school. Just talk about what you're seeing when you're first getting these guys. They're not playing a full season. They're as raw can be.
Yeah, and I think when you say raw, immediately I think of like the mental capacity and the mental strength that they have to have. I think that's what they have to understand is, they get the physical talent. Like, they can play in the big leagues. I believe they can play in the big leagues. But the question is, can they play every day in the big leagues? Can they stay healthy? Can they deal with failure? Do they know where to go on the field in different situations? Do they understand the mental side of the game? That's what I believe separates a kid from one level to the next, is their capacity to learn the game of baseball and really implement what they learn.
So how are you long term? What are you thinking long term for you? Because right now I know, because you got the young kids, you're like cool with this, but at some point kids get older. Adam Rosales gets older. So what are you thinking long term?
Man, I do. I talk to my wife a lot about it, when the kids are a little bit older, because obviously, like, I love this time. I'm grateful.
And this organization loves you too.
Yeah, well,
so there's like,
that,
there's a lot of things you can do in this organization.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I really want to help out the best I can. I do aspire to get to the major league level, and to help out at that level. I know it's going to take a lot of work when the time comes to do that. But it'd be really neat to get back to the major leagues and to understand what it takes to help a major league level player out,
Maybe get you back to the big leagues.
It'd be nice, but like you said, I'm always transparent, right now I'm just trying to be a husband and father right here in Mesa, Arizona.
Well, I got to tell you were always one of my favorites to cover. Wild times. And there's that one year it's like you're in our clubhouse, then you're with the Rangers, then you're back with us, then you're back with the Rangers. There haven't been too many guys that have ever gone back and forth, two franchises, one season like that. Was that just unreal?
It was. I think it was more unreal for my wife than it was for me. Because I was in Toronto with the A's, right? And my wife's in Oakland waiting to hear what happens next as we get a foul ball.
Yeah.
And then all of our stuff's in Texas with all of our stuff, like all of our car with all of our baggage and all that. It was kind of a wild time, but cool. It's cool to tell the story. I tell the story a lot to young kids, that I work with the A's or outside, with high school kids. I get to tell them stuff that, look, you're going to go through some stuff like this in life, and it's kind of the adjustments you got to make quick. But then again, you always have such support, like the support system that you have. You go to a new clubhouse and the team welcomes you, a lot of respect, especially at the major league level.
Yeah, well, you were a great test at what adversity is, because in that face of adversity, oh, by the way, I don't care what uniform you put on, you got to perform.
You have to perform. There's no question. Yeah, you definitely have to help the team win. And that was my mentality. My number one goal when I was a little kid was to play one game on Wrigley Field, and I got to do that. And once I did that, I'm like, what's next, And my goal was to win a World Series. That was like what I was fighting for in the off season to train for. and hoping to get an opportunity. And it was cool. I got to go to the playoffs with the A's in 2012. I got to go to playoffs a couple other times, but never quite got to the World Series. But yeah, you got to produce, and you got to have that winning mentality. Else it's gonna be really hard to develop the way you're supposed to develop.
And now we just need you to go win a game of fantasy camp.
We'll see if we're down 13-2 right now. So,
how do you know that?
Well, it was 13-2 when I left.
Oh.
It's pitching and defense, right? Pitching and defense wins championships.
Oh yeah, your defense is not winning you anything. All right, my friend.
All right, Towns, is great to hang
Good
out
to
with
see you. We'll see you at spring training.
All right, awesome. Looking forward to it.
Great stuff. Great stuff. The great Adam Rosales right here on A's Cast Live.